Okay guys, so I'm doing something a little different today. There's no kit, but the last time I built a miniature kit, I had an issue with glue. And if you've seen the video, then you know what I'm talking about. If not, I'm going to link it. I think it's right here. And in the description below. But, so today I want to try some different glues that have been recommended and also just some random stuff that I had laying around the house. And I'm going to try them with different materials to see what works the best for each material out of what I have. Now I will say one of the most recommended things that I saw was wood glue. I don't have any of that, and wood glue is wood glue. I know the only thing to glue together with wood glue is wood, and so I'm just not even gonna try that. And I will say there are other things in here that probably will not work, but that's why we're gonna try them. We're gonna try everything, see which works best with every individual different part of what you would possibly be using with a miniature kit. So what I've done is I've laid everything out. I've got some small papers, I've got some felt, I've got fabric, and I have wood, which is just popsicle sticks that I have cut into pieces. What I plan on doing is testing them glued to each other. Okay, so like two pieces of paper glued together, and the felt, I'm going to take two pieces and try and glue them together with different materials. But then I'm also going to try each material with the popsicle stick, because most of what you're going to be gluing together is going to be with these kits, at least from what I've done and tried, is putting, paper on wood or fabric over wood or something of that nature. So I've got the popsicle sticks that I cut the pieces off of, and we're going to try putting the different materials on the popsicle sticks with all the different kinds of glues. So hopefully that will answer some of my questions that I have about which glues would work best. And now this is not a comprehensive list. I know there's more. If you guys have more that you want me to test, give me a list below. I will possibly make another one of these if I get enough suggestions and enough likes and views on this video. So what I have today is super glue, and I got the gel form. I have Aleene's clear gel tacky glue. I also have the Aleene's original tacky glue. I have some fabric fusion, so potentially for the fabric bits. I have tried and true E6000. I have some Mod Podge. I have it in the gloss just because that's what was easiest to find. I don't even know honestly where I got this from, and I've had it for a while. You can tell it's got dust on it. And I don't know if it'll work for anything, but I found this foam and craft glue. Oh, apparently I'm not paying attention close enough. It came from Phil's Hobby Shop in Pinellas County. Okay. It's a foam glue, so we can try that. And then the most recommended glue that I saw anywhere on all the miniature sites was this Grandmother Stover's. So we're gonna try them all. We're gonna try them gluing paper to itself. What is this? Felt to itself, fabric to itself, wood to itself. And then I'm also going to not just try sticking the paper together, but I have some individual pieces, and I've got a larger piece of paper, and I'm going to try coating them in the glues on the outside as well to see what the finish looks like once it's dried. So we're gonna apply all of these together, and then come back in about 24 hours and see how everything has dried. So let's go. Let's do this. So it's been more than 24 hours. You know, life happens, but I've got all of these out here that we had glued earlier. So let's start with the super glue gel. My first thoughts on this one, let me get my name. My first thoughts on this is it's super messy. So it gets, if you get it on your fingers, it's kind of painful actually. And it's messy. It's not fun to deal with. It seems to have glued, let me see if I can grab glued the paper together fine. When I put it on the paper, it's got this horrible texture. Definitely do not recommend for that. The felt, it's stuck together really well, but you can feel that it made it, can you hear that? Made it kind of hard and crunchy. So, it doesn't look terrible though. But you can definitely tell it seeped through and it's hard. Same with the fabric. You hear it? And it definitely seeped through the fabric. So definitely not one for fabric. Now that's stuck together well. Very solid. And then here from the overhead view you can see paper stuck all right to the wood. The felt, it's got that texture to it, but it's stuck well in the fabric. It seeped through the fabric too. So the only thing that I would use the super glue gel for is these small pieces to put together. And I didn't try this, maybe I should have, and maybe in another video I'll try this, would be putting small beads or something onto something like this, because there's a lot of that too. So now this clear tacky glue, this clear gel tacky glue, I was very impressed with. It was super easy to work with. It dried quickly, but not so quickly that it was annoying, right? And believe it or not, it gives this wonderful matte finish on the piece there that's glued to the paper. Super easy to work with. You see the paper glued together well. There's the felt, which is still pliable, completely pliable. It did, I think, go through the felt a little bit there. Let's see. Yeah, it didn't hold the felt together like at all. So, there's a little bit. There's one piece that's stuck pretty good, but that's not so great. It definitely went through the fabric, and you see it just pulled up on the paper a little bit. And the fabric stuck together pretty good, actually. But it definitely bled through, but not as bad as some of the other ones. And the fabric is still soft, and it doesn't look super bad. So I think if you use a smaller amount of the clear gel tacky glue, that would be okay. The wood pieces are perfectly seamed together, so great for that. Popsicle stick is well adhered to the glue, but it does look like it buckled. You see the fabric, or the paper behind it is warped. So probably not for large areas, but for small little bits, I'm impressed. Now I did hold the felt. Nope. Felt's coming right off the popsicle stick, so not great for felt. The fabric though is held on super tight, and it doesn't appear to have bled through so much that it's bothersome. So I think overall this clear gel tacky glue, so that's a pretty good choice for most applications. Now the original tacky glue, you can see here where the paper is glued on top, and I put glue on top of it. It gives a shiny, uneven finish, so I wouldn't use it like that. I definitely think that clear gel tacky glue would be better than the original tacky glue, because of the finish. You know, this, if you put too much on, it's going to show up. This, if you put too much on, you know, there's not going to be any real evidence that you put too much. Let's see, the felt. Yeah, same issue as the clear tacky glue, just didn't do hardly anything. Again, seeped through the fabric, but the fabric is well seamed together. I do think this is a little more visible than the clear gel tacky glue. So if it was between the regular tacky glue and the clear gel tacky glue, I think I would definitely go with the clear gel tacky glue. And you can see here where on the popsicle stick here, it's really thick, whereas this is a little bit thinner. So I think you might have more problems with gap on the original tacky glue than the clear gel as well. So something to think about. Although the felt on the regular original tacky glue, that one stuck, whereas this one didn't. And then here we have the Aleene's Fabric Fusion, which actually doesn't look bad on the paper. It's pretty easy to work with. The paper is surprisingly held together very well. Felt came right apart. Just right apart. So, not great for that. Now here's what we expected it to work on, and I think it did rather well. The fabric is definitely held together really nicely. You cannot see it through the fabric at all. But there's nothing showing through there. Not really. Maybe just a little bit right in there. But it looks pretty good. So I think that would be fine for fusing fabric to fabric for doing maybe tiny pillows or something like that. Actually held the popsicle sticks together well, but you can see it's discolored a lot there on the top of that popsicle stick. Did hold the fabric to the stick though too, so it might be good for making your furniture with fabric, like couches and chairs and stuff. Be a lot better than what I used last time for that chair and the Sam study kit, which if you haven't watched that video, please feel free to click the link right up here and go and watch it. Part of what inspired this video. Then we have the gloss Mod Podge, and apparently I soaked that one enough that it's adhered to the page, so very adhesive on the paper. It does give a relatively smooth, glossy finish on the top of the paper, so if you're looking for more of a gloss to maybe like make it look like a satin wallpaper or something, that might be nice. This feels terrible. Like it's super crunchy and comes right apart. This felt is a nightmare. This, yeah, I don't think that's great. Right there. So the fabric, it's not even holding together super great. It's coming back apart. I mean, not perfectly, but I can definitely take it apart. And it's crunchy on the outside, bled through. Definitely would not use the Mod Podge for fabric. The wood's held together okay, but I think all of these, the wood has held together fine. So I really think that not having a wood glue is not super necessary. That's holding to the wood just fine. The felt coming off a little bit, but not too bad. It's actually stuck there and not gone through, so 0.1 for Mod Podge. And then the fabric is held as well, but I do think it is seeped through the fabric there a little bit. And we definitely have some shine where it's, you know, the glue has overstepped, which I did intentionally just so that we could see, right? Definitely some shine there, so if you use too much, then you're gonna notice. Then we've got the E6000. Now, this E6000, it's super stringy, which you can learn to cope with eventually, but it also dries really quickly. So if you know, take a little bit of it and put it in some sort of palette or something so that you can use it across the board, it's not gonna last very long. You have to move super quickly with it, and it's super stringy. It dries shiny, so you can see here where it's super shiny, and you're definitely gonna notice if you put just a little bit too much. Now this felt is actually held together quite nicely with it. It's still flexible, and it doesn't look like it seeped through the felt. So it might be what you would want to use for felt if you happen to have felt, because I mean, those are actually held together really well. I'm impressed. Was not expecting that. And it didn't seep through, and it's still completely flexible. So we may have found a winner for felt. Hoorah! The fabric, you can definitely see some staining through the fabric, so I don't think I would recommend that for fabric at all. The wood's held together, but I do think there's better solutions. You can see here where I put it thick. This is what I was kind of talking about, where if you use just a little bit too much, you're definitely gonna notice. And obviously I used way too much here, but that's kind of the point. It's all held together well though. But like I said, it's super stringy and it dries super fast. And I forgot to mention too on the Mod Podge, the Mod Podge is very, very thin. So definitely would be something that would need to be put on with a paintbrush out of a palette or something of that nature. But I don't think I would really recommend it for really anything. So there's that. And then we've got the foam cure, which I wasn't expecting to work on anything if we're being completely honest. But this paper is held together and it's super sturdy. And the paper I used was just a cardstock out of a pack that I had gotten from an art store. I couldn't even tell you which one at this point. Years and years ago. The felt comes right apart. The fabric is stuck together, but definitely have some intense staining there. Definitely can see it through the fabric. The wood's held together well, but I do think as far as this is concerned, there are better alternatives. And now we get to the one that I found the most online, which was the grandmother stovers. And I have to say, this stuff was a dream to work with. You just open the cap, take a paintbrush. I just used some cheap brush that I'd gotten from my craft store. And you can see this is actually the brush I use, and the brush is still in great condition. I just washed it out in water, and the brush is still in great condition. The paper is strong and sturdy, held together really well. It dries with a matte finish, so if you use just a little bit too much, I don't think it's going to be all that noticeable. You can see here I've actually painted over all of these with the glue, and that one is just, it's a wonderful finish there. Let's try the felt. Now the felt comes right apart. So there's a little bit of stick there, but overall I think honestly the only one that really worked well with the felt was the E6000. Interesting. The fabric, it didn't seep through at all. There's no stainage. Let's see, it's stuck together pretty well. Yep, it's very solidly adhered to itself. Fabric is still flexible. I think that's wonderful. I really do. The wood stuck together well, and here you can't even see where I've brushed it onto the popsicle stick all the way across, and I put a thick layer on it. And if you can kind of hear all the trucks going down the street, but there is a pretty thick layer there. The felt is stuck on well, the fabric is stuck on well, and there's not any seepage through there. You can tell that the paper is not warped at all like it was up here for some of the other glues, where it's warped around the popsicle sticks, especially the Mod Podge, which maybe because it was really wet. I didn't water down the grandmother stovers at all, just to be clear, but yeah, no, that's straight as a rod. And the paper is straight and flat, unlike, see, you can see here the paper is warped. This stuff was a dream too. This stuff was an absolute dream to work with. So overall, I think the grandmother stovers, it lives up to the hype, y'all. It absolutely lives up to the hype, and I think it's great for any application except maybe the felt. You know, it didn't work for the felt, but honestly the only thing that did was the E6000. And it worked okay for the fabric, so I think you can get away with using it for the fabric too. Although I do think the fabric fusion maybe works a little better. It's just a little bit stronger of a hold than the Grandmother Stovers, but I mean, it's still pretty good, but I can rip the fabric apart with the Grandmother Stovers, whereas the fabric fusion, like, that's pretty solid. Well, I am still able to rip it apart. So, and you know what? I think overall, the Grandmother Stovers is pretty good for everything. And like I said, it was a dream to work with. So, coming up soon, I will be doing the greenhouse from Rolife. And I think what I'm going to do is just try and use the Grandmother Stovers for the whole thing. And we'll see how that goes. If that sounds like a good idea to you, put it in the comments below if that's something you'd like to see. And I hope to see you guys soon. I really hope that this was helpful to you. I know I had an issue with finding out which glues to use because there's just so much information from so many sites. So I really hope that this was helpful. If you have any other glues you'd like to see me test or play around with, or anything else that you would like to see me try with any of these glues, let me know in the comments below and we'll see what we can do about it. Until then, I will see you next time, and just remember, why not you? See you later, guys.